Hi, it's Kim from Chatterbox Quilts. I'm at my Janome 8900 today where I'm going to do some recycling and some creating. I often have scraps left over from my quilting projects, and when they start to overflow the bin, it's time to do something with them. So today I'm going to do some string-pieced blocks. Now, where's the recycling part, you ask me? Well, here it is. At work, we get all kinds of catalogs that we just recycle, and it seems like such a waste because they have all these pages in them. These pages make great foundations for string-pieced blocks. So what I do is I just tear out as many pages as I think I'm going to use. I mean, I can just tear out more when I need them, can't I? And these actually come out really nicely. They don't tear or anything. And, well, tear across the page. They tear out of the book, obviously. And then I just cut them to the size I want. So these particular ones I'm working on are 6-inch finished blocks. So I cut my piece of paper to 6.5 inches. And the one thing, just a cautionary note on these, is make sure if you're using pages from a catalog like this, that the ink is not going to come off. So you might just want to rub your hands across it just to make sure that that ink isn't going to come off on you, because if it comes off on you, it's going to come off on your fabric as well, and you don't want that. So then what I do, and I'll show you what our end product is going to be like. This is what we're making, is some of these little blocks here. And what I chose for this one is I chose to use a white strip down the center of all of them, and then I stuck to a green and blue color palette. If you want, you can just throw any colors of fabric in there and it'll look very scrappy. If you want to control the look a little more, just choose maybe 2 or 3 colors and stick to those. So what I do to start, because I want to have that white in the middle, is I just take a white strip. Now this one's quite large. It's probably not the size I would typically use, but just for demonstration purposes, we're going to go with this one. And I put it face up on a diagonal across the block. And you don't have to be too fussy about that. Don't worry about it too much. Just, you know, sort of a diagonal is good. Then I'm going to take my first piece of fabric, and this one I'm going to go with a green, and I'm going to put it face down on the white. Now I want to make sure that these fabric pieces go completely across and extend past the outside of the block. So I can just turn it over here and I make sure I can see some fabric. The green is underneath there. I can see it on the other side, because you definitely want to cover all the way across the block. And then I just sew them on with a straight stitch. Now, the one thing you should do is shorten your stitch length, okay? Because you're going to be sewing these on here. Eventually, we're going to be taking that foundation off before we sew the blocks all together into a quilt. And you want to make sure that everything's going to stay together nicely. So just line up your edges between the two fabrics, shorten your stitch length. I'm using a 1.8 on the Janome, and then you can start sewing a 1/4 inch seam. And you don't have to start at the edge of the fabrics. You want to start close to the edge, just outside the foundation piece. And again, make sure you're right off that foundation piece, and then I can just break my thread and take it out. All right, so there's my first string on. So now you want to open it up and press it just like you normally would do. Now you can press this at the iron if you'd like, or you can finger press it down, or you can use I've got a little wooden iron here that I can use to press it down a bit. Whatever you prefer to do before you go to your next piece of fabric. What I did on this particular one is I alternated green on one side, blue on the other. Again, I'm a little bit of a control freak, but you don't have to do that. So I could either continue on this side of the block, adding to the other side of the white, go back and forth if I want, or I can just continue and fill out one side at a time. So there's not a lot of thinking you have to do on this. That's the great part about it. Just as long as your little strings extend past the edges of the foundation, you're good. So I'm going to actually just put a blue one on here. We'll do another one. Again, I'm starting just outside the edge of the foundation. Here we go. Except I'm getting caught a little bit on my foundation piece here. That's okay. I can just push it down. That's the only disadvantage when you have my 1/4 inch foot has a little blade on it. So just be a little careful of that. If you have one that doesn't have the blade, it might be better for this application. All right, I'm off the foundation block, so I can take it off now. And now we have our second little string on there. So again, I can just finger press it down or take it to the iron. So you just continue doing that until you fill up the foundation. And as I go along, if I have extra long pieces like this particular one, I will just cut it off. I don't need all that extra fabric getting in my way as I continue to stitch along. When I'm done, I'm going to have blocks that look like this. And you can see it doesn't take any time at all, actually, to start creating lots and lots of blocks. And before you know it, you're going to have enough to make a quilt. So try the string piecing. It's quick, it's fast, and you don't have to think about what you're doing at all.